Welcome to our channel. For today's video, we will recap a Korean drama fantasy called Switch from the year 2023. The plot revolves around a highly successful action star who enjoys a lavish life. That is until he meets a taxi driver, and his whole life turns around after his lifestyle gets switched with his manager. Have you seen this movie yet? If not, grab some popcorn and enjoy. In the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to Park Kang, a very famous showbiz actor. At the time, Park Kang was at the height of his success, to the point that he could purchase anything at any place he wished. He became arrogant about his money because he succeeded in both his career and finances. Kang resides in a luxurious, costly apartment. His manager, Joo-yoon, is always with him wherever he travels. Joo-yoon was an actor back then as well, but he eventually gave up acting after failing to land a good part, which made him support Kang. He is in charge of scheduling and handling Kang's affairs. Kang won the Best Male Actor prize at a filmmakers event one evening that he attended. Speaking live on stage, Kang said that, having started his acting career with very little and coming from a rural region, he never imagined being where he was now. Soo-hyun, Park's ex-girlfriend, is watching him win the award on TV. She was with him during his lowest point. She opened his art exhibition in Seoul shortly after returning from New York. On 24th of December, Joo-yoon was going to return home to spend time with his family when Kang encouraged him and invites him to drink at the bar, the same place where he used to drink heavily before becoming a well-known actor. There, they talked and reminisced about their past. Kang and Joo-yoon had actually gone through the last round of auditions together before. Kang unexpectedly had luck on his side as he made it through the audition and rose to fame as an actor, while Joo-yoon gave up performing to take on the role of manager for Kang. Joo-yoon remembers and mentioned that had Kang failed the audition, he and Soo-hyun might have started a family and led a life together. Kang then recalls how he had dumped Soo-hyun at the same bar 10 years prior, which led to their breakup. While Soo-hyun travels to New York to further her studies in art, Kang became the top actor. At the end of the night, Kang still wants to party some more, but Joo-yoon tells Kang to take a taxi home by himself since he wants to spend Christmas Eve with his family. Kang is so drunk and becomes chatty with the driver. The driver thanks his fortune for meeting such a well-known actor. The driver figured that since Kang had everything a guy could ask for, he must be living the life of his dreams and is content. But Kang replies that the driver had no idea of the life he is living in. He thinks for a little and then agrees that achieving fame and fortune does not guarantee a happy life. As if knowing what he's thinking about, he asks Kang if given the choice to go back in the past, what would he do with it? The driver even knew that Kang was thinking of changing the past when he broke up with Soo-hyun and said that he could help to turn that thought into reality. He mentions that he could help Kang and give him the life he had with Soo-hyun just before they broke up. The following morning, Kang is puzzled to find himself in a strange house. In contrast to his luxurious apartment, the room is smaller and made of wood. At that moment, two kids refer to him as their father, leaving him utterly astonished. The familiar face of his ex-girlfriend Soo-hyun approaches him. She makes it obvious to Kang that she is his wife and the two children in front of him are his. Soo-hyun also believed that because Kang consumed too much in alcohol the previous night, he had not yet recovered from his drunkenness. Kang was still processing what had happened to him earlier in the morning. When he attempted to get in touch with Joo-yoon, he was unsuccessful. He immediately goes to the luxurious apartment that he owns. However, because he was not identified as a resident, he entered the building casually and confused the security officer. He proceeds to go upstairs and type in the password to his room. However, it does not work. He was taken aback to see his apartment's door open. He believed someone had broken into his room. The security personnel had to take him into custody after he broke in and caused a scene. It gets more chaotic when the owner accuses Kang of his wife's affair. Kang attempted to point out that he is a well-known actor, but no one believes him. An angry and confused Kang is then brought to the police station. According to the authorities, he is not even listed as the owner of that room. Kang was shocked to discover how much he had lost in a single night. When Soo-hyun arrived to take him up, Kang was even more ashamed. While Soo-hyun insists on being Kang's wife, Kang refuted her claims. Soo-hyun becomes furious thinking that Kang wishes for a divorce. She was calmed down by the police, who noted that because Kang had asserted to be an actor, he appeared to be a little confused. After that, they both headed home. Kang continues to ponder if she really was Soo-hyun. Soo-hyun finally slaps Kang awake for his absurd questions regarding their relationship. A passing taxi car jolts back Kang's memory to the night before. He was having a drinking session with Joo-yoon before he got into a conversation with the mysterious driver. Soo-hyun chastises him once more for causing all those ruckus when they get home. Then, Kang met Rohee, his daughter. He admits to her that his memory is gone. His time with them is something he has no recollection of. During that moment, Soo-hyun instructs Kang to watch the kids because she is heading for a friend's house after her art lesson. Naturally, Kang was opposed to the idea as he did not have any experience babysitting. He asks Soo-hyun to employ one instead. When Soo-hyun heard that, she assumed Kang still has a hangover and tells him to help her pay the overdue bills. Kang took the kids with him as he continued to look for information regarding the taxi driver from before. When he went to the company to inquire about the taxi he had taken on Christmas Eve, the personnel regretfully informs him that no one works there with that particular look. He then asks his twin children several questions in an attempt to learn more about the Kang that they know of. According to Rohee, he is an actor but not very well known. Then, Roa showed Kang, who was appearing on a television program. To Kang's amazement, he turned up in a cameo there. Later that evening, Soo-hyun asked Kang to tell her about the disturbance at someone's apartment earlier in the day. Kang proceeds with his narrative that he lives a different life compared to this one. The Soo-hyun that he knew was different, and the driver from before granted this life to him. Soo-hyun dismisses his story as nonsense, and they simply decide to rest and sleep. Kang is so used to sleeping alone before, but after finding a life with her ex, this life might not be that bad. Although it will take some time to adjust sleeping, eating, and dealing with this family. A few days later, Soo-hyun reminds Kang that has a schedule to film a movie with Mystic TV. Poor films and low viewership were the hallmarks of Mystic TV. Mystic TV was a low-rated television network that aired terrible films. Contrary to his family's cheers, he thinks that the channel is complete garbage. He received a call from a friend named Rohee asking for his assistance in promoting her theatrical production. It came out that, in addition to appearing on television, Kang was earning money from a theater. Upon meeting each other, Kang asks Rohee about his contact with Joo-yoon. It is because Joo-yoon is busy working on various movies. This revelation shocks Kang. Joo-yoon, his manager from before, is now a well-known actor. It is like they have swapped their whole lives. After knowing this, he immediately goes to the agency where Joo-yoon works. He eventually made it to meet Joo-yoon, who recognizes his old friend. After that, he asked Kang to lunch. It's revealed that Joo-yoon was chosen as the actor since Kang withdrew from the audition to chase after the love of his life. Kang went to meet Soo-hyun in her gallery after eating lunch with Joo-yoon. The Kang that Soo-hyun is different from the Kang now. So he inquires about a scenario in which he did not stop her from the airport. Soo-hyun says that she prefers this life with the kids and him. Days later, Rohee and Kang perform their play. Joo-yoon, who happened to be there that evening, got tired after watching the show and fell asleep. Following that, Joo-yoon treated them all to dinner. Rohee and Joo-yoon gets attracted to each other, not knowing that in the other world, they already like each other. Joo-yoon provided to pay for their meals. Kang was celebrating with Soo-hyun and her friends at his house with the food he had brought from the restaurant. Despite being a barely known actor, Kang gets a lot of fans among the local females. Kang's mother, who was substantially different from his mother at this time, paid them a visit early the following day. His mother became anxious upon learning that Kang had quit his job. Kang then drove her to the terminal so she could return home after the visit. She gave her son some money and hoping that he would be able to land a good role similar to Joo-yoon. She gave him the instruction to buy flowers for his father's grave in addition to treating his family. Kang promptly complied with her request. But, as was typical, Kang was unwilling to visit his father's grave because he was not on good terms with him. Kang also auditioned for other roles. Despite the fact that he was acting quite well, they tell Kang to convince Joo-yoon to star in the film instead because they are well acquainted. When they next met, he told Joo-yoon about it. Joo-yoon was shocked to learn that, even though he had purposefully skipped the audition in order to let Kang get the part. Joo-yoon made the decision to offer Kang a position as his manager after realizing that Kang couldn't waste his time attending different auditions. Joo-yoon wanted someone he could rely on to work for him. Kang turned down the offer since he thought everything in his life had changed and he was unhappy with it. The next day, Kang was unable to get in touch with Soo-hyun. Additionally, he discovered a notice stating that she would no longer be taking classes at her gallery. Rohee had a question concerning the autographs that celebrities typically present to their fans that afternoon. Then Kang demonstrated signing for her. When Rohee sees it, she wishes that her father would eventually be successful enough to sign for other people as well. Roha unexpectedly had an incident when playing by himself. He was taken to the hospital right away by them. Soo-hyun arrives and Kang finds out that she has been working part-time at a convenience store. He gets angry and ashamed that she has to work harder for their family. Once Kang looked into his ATM, he discovered that it was empty. After 10 years of being unable to do anything, Kang felt disappointed in himself. He was compelled to take Joo-yoon's offer to become his manager since he knew he had no other option. Serving Ju-yoon at the shooting area, setting up agendas, and even shielding him from the paparazzi were all part of his job description since he saw Ju-yoon as his boss. When Ju-yoon asked Kang for a salary for his films or commercials, Kang didn't think twice to give him advice. Ju-yoon gains even more revenue when Kang leverages his 10 years of experience. Kang assisted Ju-yoon in reading the script to the point where Kang went overboard. Ju-yoon took too long to study the script, which caused the extras to quit because they could not wait for him. Knowing that Kang was an actor, the director ultimately chose to grant him a role. And Kang was certainly eager to do it. Kang performed well. The director even gave him compliments for his horse riding. In contrast to his previous life, Kang performed his acting duties with complete professionalism this time. His own family also noticed the sudden change in his demeanor and are amazed by this. Little by little, Kang began to enjoy the life he is living in. His affection for his family has grown. His life has greatly improved from before. Because his salary was already steady, he could eat comfortably and make his bill payments on time. However, it seems that this transformed him and attracted Soo-hyun's interest, particularly when Kang brought them to Ju-yoon's flat, which Ju-yoon kindly leased them. Soo-hyun disapproved of the plan. She believed that money had utterly transformed Kang. Kang desired to move on from their tiny home, where they had formed bonds and memories together. Though Kang still believes as though he was before, his sole interest is to give his family a good life. Soo-hyun didn't consider their money and possessions to be the most important. This resulted in a heated argument that night. Kang went to his kid's room since he was having trouble falling asleep. Kang quickly realized that, despite living a life far from luxury, this state makes him happy rather than being wealthy and living alone without a family. As the days, weeks, and months went by, Kang was able to let go of the past and move forward. In the drama he played alongside Ju-yoon, he even accomplished a great ending to his role. Ju-yoon and Kang ought to trade places since Ju-yoon is a better fit for a managerial role than Kang, according to the director, who seconds this and praises Kang's impressive skill. In addition, Kang was given the opportunity for a special interview that helped him rise to becoming a professional actor. Despite the happiness his achievement brought to his family, Kang continued to work for Ju-yoon as a manager. Ju-yoon praised Kang for his assistance after he won the Best Actor award. Ju-yoon added that Kang was an actor who was superior to him. Ju-yoon invited Kang to a drink at the bar to commemorate the event. He informed Kang that there was a part available for the upcoming drama, but the 3 months of filming will be spent abroad. Kang turned down the opportunity since he didn't want to spend so much time away from his family. At last, Ju-yoon admitted that he had fallen in love with Woo-hee, not to mention that he would want to switch roles with him. The night is already late, and they choose to go home. A year has passed by since he led a different life. It was also on Christmas Eve. When he gets into the taxi, it is the same driver from before. He tells Kang that within a few moments, he would return to his own world. This revelation made his heart stop. He really enjoyed his life here and no longer want to go back. Unfortunately, he cannot stay for long. When the time comes, he will inevitably return to his world. Just then, the taxi stops and Kang discovers that it is his late father who was driving all along. His father tells him that because Kang was so preoccupied with his acting career, he was not able to spend more time with him. It gets emotional as Kang had never spoken to him until his final days. He gets home and without any delay, he gives his kids tight hugs. Knowing that he wouldn't be able to see them again before morning, he put them to sleep while tenderly observing their cute expressions. Afterwards, Soo-hyun presented a photo of Kang with his father when he was younger. Although their relationship wasn't particularly remarkable, the cab incident had altered Kang's perception of the value of spending time with his family. He tried to let go of that wonderful moment he had just realized as he lay with his wife. Kang felt depressed when he woke up the following morning in his luxurious flat since his wonderful life had been taken away from him. At that point, Ju-yoon made an appearance. Kang then inquires about Soo-hyun, who has an exhibition going on in the city. It was verified and confirmed by Ju-yoon that this was the final day of the exhibition. That surprises Kang, who thought that a year had passed, but it turns out that just 1 day had passed. He immediately sets out to locate the exhibition. But before leaving, he tells Ju-yoon to audition for an acting role and that all expenses will be taken care of. Arriving at the exhibition, Kang sees a familiar painting from before. It's an image of the home that he had dreamed of. Soo-hyun then appears out of nowhere and inquires why he had come. Kang leads her to where she had painted that same house. Kang realizes that although it was a dream, it had been the happiest moment of his life and that he wants to continue it with the Soo-hyun in front of him. The movie ends as the two finally get wed 2 years later. They formed a family with 2 kids named Rohee and Roa. This time, it is no longer a dream, and he would spend the rest of his life with his loving family. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoy this movie. See you in our next video.